Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Fam Show with me, Benjamin Beck. In this show, I speak with inspiring people across the financial planning profession from the UK and all over the world. On tonight's show, we got Luiza Todd, who is the Director of Bespoke Training Solutions. Hi, Luiza. How are you?
Hello, Ben. Very well and delighted to be joining you.
It's a pleasure to have you on board, and I keep seeing you being featured in other podcasts as well lately, so that's really exciting.
I absolutely love every minute of it, Ben, and I never thought I would. I think some sort of like media beast has been created.
Exactly. So to kick us off this evening, for those who in FAM, many have heard of BTS. If you start off by kind of talking about, how you got into the profession before BTS was the thing.
No problem at all. Probably like quite a few people, Ben, I didn't really know what I wanted to do when I left school. One thing I knew I didn't want to do was to go to university. I just had enough with A-levels, etc. So I did a number of different things. No laughing, studied to be a registered general nurse. Those people that know me very well will find that very funny. And from there, I then went to work for Marks and Spencer's. But I actually joined financial services. I joined a building society called National and Provincial, who had a little Buzzy Bee logo, who don't exist anymore. And I was working within, I think I was covering 6 branches. And wow. they asked for volunteers. It was when FPC 1, 2, and 3 came in. They asked for volunteers to do some training, and I thought, well, I'll give that a go. And that was it. That was it, really, Ben. Yeah, that got me financial services, learning and development, and I haven't really looked back.
That's great. So you started off doing that, and then what was the progression? Did you continue and take on the learning and development role there, and then what?
Yeah, so the NMP Building Society were actually taken over by the Abbey National then, who then became Abbey, that then became Santander, and I was made redundant. So I joined AXA in their learning and development team, and met Jeff Scholes, and the rest is history, because of course Jeff and I set up Bespoke Training Solutions together in 2003.
And so clearly, because you've been going for so long, then you've had a lot of students come through. What are the kind of the best parts of your job? You would say, I'm guessing you would more call it a lifestyle than a job, because you clearly have a lot of passion for it.
Yeah, I mean, we must have supported tens of thousands of candidates. And I mean, our joy is when they pass, and there is no greater feeling than supporting a candidate. I do apologize if anybody can hear any meowing. One of my cats has just bought me his little blue ball. And I don't think the microphone, hopefully, will pick up the meow going on in the background. Fingers crossed. Coming back to your question, Ben, you never lose the thrill of a candidate picking up the phone, emailing, going on LinkedIn and saying, I passed. I'm so delighted. I've had one today, a lady that was absolutely terrified of the RO4 pensions exam. And she emailed us this afternoon to say, absolutely smashed it, got 45 out of 50. And it's a real privilege to support candidates, and we never ever have we got tired of that. I think that's what drives us, is that absolute thrill you get when people pass. And also I think, Ben, sometimes it's people that haven't initially started with BTS and that have deferred their success with some of the exam units. And then they come to us and actually they realize that, one, yes, they can do it. And two, it isn't them. They just need to tweak what they're doing. We love what we do.
And so, as we covered a bit, like, what's the best parts? Now, what do you find the most challenging?
The most challenging bits one of the biggest, most challenging areas was actually when we set BTS up, because both Jeff and I were walking away from employed positions, company car, company pension scheme. And at the time, that was absolutely terrifying. Yeah. Now, 18 years later, we both look back and think, well, why didn't we do it any earlier? Challenging bits of the job. Dealing with clients sometimes, and not individuals. Dealing with corporate clients sometimes brings its challenges, because they might want us to go in one direction, and actually we're not sure that's going to work the best with their candidates.
Do you mean like pressure in terms of getting their employees, and for you students, the pass rates, or rush someone through the qualification in that respect? Or
no, I mean, we worked with a very large client for 12 years, and over that time span we saw the workshop support reduce from 6 days to 4 days to 3 days, and then to 2 days. And just sometimes you look at what companies want you to do, and you think that's really not going to work, and they're not the easiest conversations to have, Ben. But all we ever have at the heart of what we do is we want our candidates to have the best experience, and to get the knowledge, and to get through the exams. So they're quite difficult conversations sometimes.
And something that's just actually popped up in my head now, and I think you'd be quite well suited for that, is because you mainly speak with, naturally, those who are entering the profession due to doing ROs. What do you think as a profession that can be done in order to attract more blood? Because there's a ever-growing, what we keep reading about in the press, how there's not enough advisors in the UK. So what can be done, do you think, to sort of get more through the door?
I think we've come a long way, Ben. I remember training those infamous FP1, 2, and 3s, and it was we had an office in London, in Lincoln's Inns Field, which is absolutely beautiful. And a couple of the students went out one evening, and got chatted up by a couple of chaps. And instead of saying they were trainee financial advisors, they actually told them they were air hostesses. Because at the time, I don't think financial services wasn't seen as a profession, wasn't seen as something that people actively wanted to get into. And I think that has changed massively. And credit to yourself, I think groups like FAM, Next Gen Planners, that really is opening up the industry and making it more of a positive choice.
So rather than falling into it, people actively look at it and thinking, actually, that's something I'd like to do. I keep speaking to a lot of people and say, how did you get into the profession? And they actually say, I fell into it. Whereas my story is I've actively chose it. So trying to change the trend there, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I see more universities as well, sort of like promoting it, financial courses. But as I say, I think it's our responsibility, to be encouraging, to be mentoring, to be answering the questions of people that are thinking about coming into the profession, because we have so much passion for it, don't we, Ben? We love it.
No, quite right, Lisa, quite right. So you've been running BTS now for a long time, and as this landscape of the ROs, new legislation may be passed out, etc. Now, what do you do as a firm to be able to maintain the knowledge and sort of pass on the best practice and best study techniques?
Oh, we do a lot of things. For a start, we sit the exams ourselves every year. So, for example, I know. But for example, last year when we were in the midst of the pandemic, I wanted to not only sit the exams, but actually to see how the CII PSI exam system worked. And I also wanted to go to an exam centre and see how typing RO6 worked.
Lovely.
So I know.
I say that from personal experience there.
Yeah, and I'm the worst. Yeah, out of a group of 20 people sitting there RO6 in Newcastle Exam Centre, I was the only one that had any systems issues. What made me laugh, Ben, and you'll chuckle at this, was for the first 10 minutes, my caps lock had stuck on my keyboard. So as I was typing, it was like I was shouting my answers. It was so funny. It made me chuckle so much. So we sit the exams every year, yeah, because we're great believers that you've got to walk the walk. You got to talk. It's not just about training people. It's about, doing the exams yourself, keeping your knowledge up to date. So that's the first thing that we do. But also we actively ask for feedback. Yeah. What do candidates like about what we do? What could we improve? I literally have just finished running a 2-day RO4 workshop with 16 candidates on it. Wow. And one of the things I said to them was, tell us, what are you like? What are you not like? So we constantly try and push the boundaries and try and improve what we do. We get lots of candidates. I get lots of people hooking up with me on LinkedIn, asking for direction and again, just constant feedback. What we
actually
also
on that, before we on that note, asking for directions. For those, there's probably a lot of people listening in who's currently doing one of the ROs or the CISI or LIBF exams. Now, do you have some quick fire good study techniques or tips you could pass on?
You've got to break it down into incremental steps, because otherwise it just looks like, if you take a subject like RO1, regulation, I'm just trying to think what it stands for, regulation, compliance and ethics, I think. That is such a big subject, Ben. Yeah, that if you don't break it down, you'll get depressed very, very easily. So absolutely, get a study plan first of all. Break it down into incremental chunks. And this is one of my biggest tips, and I try and bang this drum every time. Don't just blindly assume there's one choice for your materials. Look at the market, shop around. We get a lot of people coming to us that are struggling, with the materials that they're actually using and deferring their success in their RO exams.
It's not. I remember just a couple of days ago, I actually read an article on money marketing, and that I believe you've wrote, and it's not actually very clear from the CI, the website, that you do not actually have to purchase their own textbooks. And I remember from when I was studying and I came into the profession that why would you know anything different?
Absolutely.
That's the problem. There's nothing to say there that you can't. And because normally, if you're going to pass an exam set by an examining body, you would assume you have to purchase their study material, because that would be the only authorized, I guess, and guaranteed to be correct.
Yeah, and you're 100% right, Ben. You don't know any different, and you would assume that the body that sets the exams would actually provide, the best version of the material, the best version of the practice questions. So you don't know any different. How are you going to know unless you talk to somebody, you got a mentor, somebody gives you a steer? I personally, I don't find it ethical to have your default set at for purchasers for the default to be just to automatically buy the full package. Personally, I couldn't do that as a company. I think that's a bit disingenuous. But you are 100% right. People don't know. They do not know that there is such a broad choice, and not just BTS. There are lots of different providers. So just shop around, have a look at what there is.
Yeah, there's quite. I mean, I did some research. I think a couple of years back now, and there's without naming them all, I think there's about 10 different providers.
There are.
So yeah. To the audience, do have a look around. Ask
Absolutely.
others. Ask people in fam what they have used, what they
Yeah.
like, what do they not like. Yeah.
And people will be honest, Ben. If they've loved it, they'll say. If they had difficulty with it, and ultimately, did they pass their exam? Yeah.
Yeah.
I ran a 2-day RO1 workshop a few weeks ago, and I would say a third of the people on that workshop were on their second or third attempt at the exam, and they thought it was them. Yeah, they thought that academically they didn't have what it took. Yeah, but I could see that they were bright, that they put in the work, that it absolutely had nothing to do with them, and what they were using wasn't right for them. And actually, it was easier than the exam itself. So they'd go into the exam itself and get a massive shock.
Yeah, no, I remember that myself. Some of the
horrible
revision made questions, I thought to a certain extent I'd nailed them, and then the examination questions were very, very far from it.
And that's going
a bit away from exam questions. Then you've been in the profession for a long time, trained a lot of students who are now all financial advisors, planners, paraplanners. What have you got any advice and tips for those who's coming into the profession? They're doing the exams, but don't necessarily want to become financial planners. What other kind of roles would you recommend they look into?
Oh, there's such a variety of roles, and being a financial advisor, Ben, isn't for everybody. The paraplanner role is an amazing role. I mean, we have supported so many paraplanners that do a fantastic job. But there are back office roles, there are systems roles. It's what suits you, what suits your personality, what suits your personal situation. And as I say, being a financial advisor is not for everybody.
So let's say, what type of roles or what type of person would you say suits other roles better than being a financial planner? If you kind of think about what kind of person you need to be in your eyes.
Well, not wishing to offend anybody, but financial advisors tend to be, on the whole, and this is a bit of a generalization, they tend to be much more outgoing, little bit, not, and I don't mean this horribly, but a bit of a show off. And I, as I say, that sounds worse than I mean it to, but not everybody's like that. Not everybody likes meeting new people daily. And they're just not comfortable in that environment, and that's absolutely fine. So
yeah, I've actually spoken to some members in FAM who said, they had their doubts because they actually don't want to be in front of clients, and then therefore questioning their motives for the career, because they still say, I'm really interested in financial planning, but what can I do? And then that's when I personally have said, well, have you considered paraplanning is a great route.
Absolutely.
I think perhaps also in the profession, I may get some advisors disagreeing with me after listening to this, but how rather than having the hierarchical structure of the advice on top than the paraplanner, I'll call it more of a sidestep.
Absolutely.
Because if you look at the wording, para just means next to planner. So it's on the same line. It's just next to the planner.
100% agree. Yeah. So, a team, holistically supporting the client. But I know lots of people that really, would not want to do the financial advisor role, but actually are incredibly valuable doing the other roles that make up that team.
Yeah, absolutely. So with that, you've trained a lot of people. Some are gone to power planning, some are gone to advisory. What are you most excited to see in the future now? We have a lot of things happening with technology. There's a lot of FCA writing about compliance. We're talking potential new compliance coming into picture. the pandemic happened, everyone started using technology more, Zoom, podcasting, YouTube. Where do you think we are going with this?
I love the variety that we've got now. I mean, I see candidates doing not candidates, trainee advisors, trainee that they're doing so many different things to get out there, to meet clients. You see, for a start, Ben, have you ever seen so many podcasts? Yeah, which are amazing, absolutely amazing. And as you say, the pandemic made us all look at what we were doing, and we had to, either get with it in terms of technology, or like the dinosaurs, become extinct. If you'd have said to me 18 months ago, Luiza, you'll love Zoom, you'll love Teams, you'll love doing podcasts, I'd have laughed at you. I'd have said, no way, never in a million years. So I love the innovation that we're seeing. I think that's one of the biggest things to come out of the pandemic. We've all looked at doing our roles in a different way. Some have been better, some have been not so good. But I love the innovation, and I love new younger blood coming into our profession, which is so needed. But then I also love the sort of stuff that you're doing, Ben, that Dan is doing, in the support mechanisms, in the mentorship, in when people don't know where to go. Look, you can talk to me, you can talk to that person. I love LinkedIn. I think LinkedIn is a phenomenal support mechanism for new people coming into our industry.
Do you feel like with kind of modern, like with LinkedIn and stuff, that the profession has changed in respect of the information available? Could there perhaps be a bit of information overload too?
I don't think so. One of the things that I love about LinkedIn, and I think, and I might be making this up, but have we actually got kinder? Have we got nicer because of the pandemic? Because I much more see on LinkedIn people volunteering their time, for nothing. And I see a lot more of that than I did pre-pandemic, and I think that's amazing. And altruistically, people already in the profession in different roles are coming out and telling their stories, and helping new people in, and mentoring them through different elements of the roles, not just the exams, but so many other parts of the job
and the development and mentoring certainly doesn't stop after the exams. If anything,
absolutely, it gets higher, doesn't it? There's more need for it.
And the development of once you got the knowledge, then it's about doing the job, and all that comes with it. So
absolutely, because the bottom line is, Ben, the exams really to a degree are a badge. Say you've attained this level in this exam, but then you've got to take those badges and transform them into, if you're an advisor, explaining it to clients, speaking to clients.
Is that an area you think as BTS you'll go into, or will you stick to the RO exams?
I mean, Jeff and I have a learning and development background in our DNA. We do actually, offer soft skills workshops, behavioral workshops. It's just our main area of expertise. We chose that to be the ROs. But absolutely, I mean, we design, we develop, we can project manage. I just thinking about it makes me tired, actually.
Well, I was going to say it certainly sounds like there's a lot going behind the scenes, because they keep changing all the legislation, and I'm guessing there's a lot of work involved into writing the textbooks, and then you have to, I guess, write amendments whenever that comes out. We've literally virtually just finished amending all of our materials, but you're talking about textbooks, Ben. We've got to amend the study guides, the e-learning programs. We've got to amend the app questions. Then we've got non-app questions that some of our clients use.
I mean, it is a massive job that isn't just Jeff and myself. Yeah, we're using the BTS associates. Yeah, they're helping with the updates. It's a huge job. I mean, RO1 on its own, just on the app questions, there are 1,200 questions that you have to go. Yeah, that you just have to go to. And that's one element of the RO1 support. Massive job.
Goodness me.
And stuff is always changing.
Yeah, it is. Absolutely it is. So before we round off, Luiza, can you just let the audience know if they want to get in touch with you, like your website, your LinkedIn? What's the best way to get in touch with you?
Well, LinkedIn, just obviously look up Luiza Todd, and Luiza is spelt really unusually, as you can probably see. I blame my mum. Luiza. So if you tap in Luiza Todd, you'll find me easily. And if you tap in Bespoke Training Solutions into any search engine, you'll find Bespoke Training Solutions really, really easily. But do get in touch. We absolutely love, Ben, talking to existing candidates, new candidates, people thinking about which is the best direction. It's one of our favorite things, talking to.
So even those who's not perhaps even thought about financial services may listening on the show thinking, I'm not even sure if it's right for me. Can they come and speak to you?
Yeah. Contact me, DM me. Yeah, happy to have a natter.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show, Luiza. That's all we got time for this evening, but it's been really good to have you and learning a bit more about you and the company, and clearly see how much passion you have for the profession.
Well, thank you very much for inviting me, Ben, and I've loved every minute. And if you want a repeat performance on anything else, just let me know.
Awesome. Thank you. And thanks to you who's tuning in either live or listen back on the podcast. Really appreciate your support. Keep looking out for upcoming webinars in FAM, where we'll continue to interview inspiring people across the world and bringing you exciting new content.